Good morning.
In unison, good morning.
You ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Arvizo, when you claim you were inappropriately touched by Mr. Jackson, you claim there were no witnesses watching, correct?
Yes.
Now, at some point, do you recall giving a DNA swab to any Santa Barbara sheriff?
Yes. They gave me a DNA swab.
Do you know approximately when that was?
No.
Did you ever learn what the results were of any DNA testing?
No.
Did you ever discuss it with Prosecutor Sneddon?
No.
Did you ever discuss it with any other prosecutor?
No.
Did you ever discuss it with any sheriff?
No.
How about any lawyer or paralegal?
No.
Did you ever discuss it with any member of your family?
No.
So as you sit here today, you don't know what the results are of those DNA tests, right?
No.
Okay, now, you indicated that you were upset that there was no press conference in Miami when you and your family traveled to Miami to see Michael Jackson, correct?
I said it wasn't that big of a deal, because I was already having fun.
Well, you wanted a press conference in this case, didn't you?
Michael wanted it.
No.
Michael told me he wanted it.
Sir, when you were testifying before the grand jury, you wanted to give a press conference, didn't you?
No, I thought we were going to have a press conference, because that's what I was told.
Do you remember telling Mr. Sneddon and the grand jury that you wanted to have a press conference?
I might have said that we wanted to have a press conference, because Michael wanted to.
Michael wanted to have a press conference when you were in front of the grand jury. Is that what you're saying? You can answer the question.
No.
Remember telling Mr. Sneddon, "Oh, man, I was going to have a press conference."
Excuse me, Your Honor. Could we have a page reference on that, before counsel reads it?
Sure. It's 449.
That's fine.
Okay. Do you remember when you were in front of the Santa Barbara grand jury, Mr. Sneddon told you there was an order that you not talk to the media, and your response was, "Oh, man, I was going to have a press conference." Do you remember that?
That was probably a joke.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
So you're in front of the Santa Barbara grand jury talking about this case and you're telling a joke.
Yes.
Okay, alright. Do you know someone who worked at Neverland named Julio Avila?
I don't remember.
Do you remember that name at all?
I remember a guy that might have been named Julio, but I forgot his name.
Okay, and was he someone who worked around the amusement rides?
Oh, yes. Well, he was the manager of the whole Neverland, but then they moved him to the amusement park, if we're talking about the same guy.
Do you remember anyone complaining about you and Star?
Object, Your Honor. It's a violation of a 403 ruling.
I don't think it is.
I'm not remembering this. Give me another hint.
It has to do with behavior at Neverland. Non-sexual nature.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Do you recall you and your brother Star being picked up by a Fox News reporter at your home?
No.
Never happened.
Well, I have a friend that works for Fox News, but...
What's your friend's name?
Barbara.
Barbara Schroeder.
I don't know her last name.
Do you recall being picked up by Barbara Schroeder and taken for a spending spree?
I remember going to the movies with her and her daughter.
Do you remember she and another member of the media treating you and your brother to shopping?
I have a friend that used to work for Fox that I met at the Laugh Factory, but he works in, like, cell phones or something.
Do you recall Barbara Schroeder and another representative of Fox News taking you and Star shopping and paying your bills?
They weren't representing Fox News to us. They were our friends.
Do you remember them taking you shopping and paying your bills? Yes or no?
I don't remember them paying my bills. And I remember going to the movies with them. I don't remember going on shopping sprees.
Where did you go with them?
We went to the movies.
Where?
Galleria.
Which Galleria?
I don't know. Somewhere in Hollywood somewhere.
In Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you're saying they never took you to any store and paid any bill for you?
No.
Okay. You mentioned that someone named Gary Hearn had driven you and your family from time to time while you were at Neverland, correct?
Yeah, Gary drove us around.
How many times do you recall Gary Hearn driving you around?
I don't remember.
Was it 5 times? 10 times?
Well, no, it was less than that.
Okay. And where do you remember Gary Hearn driving you to?
I remember he drove us one time from the hospital to Neverland, and once from our apartment to Neverland.
Do you remember your being in his car and your mother asking to stop so you could buy various things at stores?
No.
Don't recall him ever stopping so anyone in your family could go shopping?
No.
Okay. Do you know someone named Andrew Lassick?
No.
Okay. Now, you mentioned
Lassick, police officer.
Yes. Do you know him?
Yes.
How did you meet him?
He was an LAPD officer that, I forgot, really, how we met him. I think he was, I don't know. My mom met him or something, and then he visited us a lot.
Do you know approximately when you first met this LAPD officer, Mr. Lassick?
After my father left. A few months after my father left, after I finished chemotherapy.
And he was a friend of your family, correct?
Yes.
He used to visit your house, correct?
Yes.
You spoke to him, right?
Yes.
You saw your brother and sister speak to him, didn't you?
Yes.
And you saw your mother speak to him, right?
Yes.
Do you recall anyone ever complaining to Los Angeles police officer Andrew Lassick that anyone was being held against their will?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the question as vague as to time frame.
I'll rephrase it, Your Honor.
All right.
During the period you claim you escaped from Neverland 3 times, do you recall anyone in your family ever complaining to LAPD officer Andrew Lassick that anyone was being mistreated or held against their will?
His name is Lassick, and I don't remember anything happening like that.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you testified that you used to stay up. Let me rephrase that. You would end up staying up most of the night when you were at Neverland, correct?
Sometimes.
Not all the time.
No.
Isn't it true that you and your brother would sometimes roam around the main house starting at 7 a.m. in the morning?
The cooks, the chefs would be in there like 6:30 or 7 o'clock or something, and then we'd go in there to eat breakfast.
Okay. And how often do you remember doing that?
Every morning when we would eat breakfast.
Do you know someone named Shane Meredith?
No.
Never knew an employee named Shane Meredith at Neverland.
If I did, I don't remember that.
He caught you with an open bottle of alcohol at Neverland, didn't he, when Michael Jackson wasn't even around?
No.
Now, you talked yesterday about someone named Brett Ratner. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he was working on a Rush Hour movie, right?
Yes, he was the director for both of them.
And you met Brett Ratner at Neverland one time, right?
Yes, he came to Neverland once.
And you saw him in the library, right?
Michael and him were in the library, and they told me to go there.
You saw him in the library with Michael, correct?
They told me to go in there.
Okay. And you sat down next to Michael Jackson, didn't you?
I sat on the couch. I sat on this red couch and Michael was sitting here on the seat, and Brett Ratner was sitting here also.
At one point during that meeting, you rested your head on Michael Jackson's shoulder, didn't you?
No, it was early in the morning, and we were sitting, he was sitting on another chair.
And you asked if you could go with Michael and Brett Ratner to Florida, didn't you?
I don't remember asking that.
You don't remember it or you're not sure you did it?
I don't remember ever asking that.
Okay. Do you remember hearing your mother tell Jesus Solace that she was very concerned about all the media attention?
I don't remember. I remember my mom would say stuff like that, but she didn't really like it. But, I mean, I don't remember if she did say it to Jesus Solace.
Okay. Now, you indicated that you would get to the kitchen sometimes early in the morning, right?
Well, yeah, me and a bunch of other people, when we wanted to eat breakfast.
Now, you and your brother often would cook for yourselves, correct?
We wouldn't really cook. We might grab an apple or some ice cream, but we wouldn't cook.
Ever see your brother star cook in that kitchen?
No.
Do you remember ever telling Chris Tucker that you didn't make any money from the fundraiser?
No. Well, what fundraising?
Fundraiser for you at the Laugh Factory.
No, because we did make money at the Laugh Factory.
Yes. So you never told Chris Tucker, we didn't make any money from the fundraiser.
Why would I say that when we did? No, I never said that.
Okay. Do you recall yourself asking Chris Tucker for money?
No.
Do you remember telling Chris Tucker that your family was being hounded by the media and could not leave your house?
No.
Never said that.
I might have told them about some media people that were around our house, but,
Do you remember telling Chris Tucker the media was hounding your family and there was no place for you people to go?
No, because.
Never said that.
I might have talked to him about some guy that was holding a camera outside of my house, but,
Do you remember telling Chris Tucker that your family had nowhere to go?
No.
Do you remember telling Chris Tucker that you knew Michael Jackson was in Miami and you wanted to go see him?
No. Well, the first time I flew in his plane over to Miami, so I don't know if you're trying to talk about that or what.
Well, before you flew on Chris Tucker's plane to Miami, do you remember telling Chris Tucker that you wanted to go to Florida to see Michael Jackson?
No.
Never said that.
Michael called, and they arranged it so that we can go on Chris's plane.
But you never told Chris you wanted to go see Michael in Florida, right?
I don't remember if I said in those exact words.
Okay. Do you know Vernie Watson?
I kind of remember her name. But.
She was an acting teacher for you, wasn't she?
Was she on a show with Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air show?
Excuse me, I couldn't understand what you said.
I think I remember who she is, but I don't remember.
Did she teach you acting at a school owned by Belinda Johnson?
I went to some, I don't know if we're talking about the same Renee Watson.
Just asking you if you know someone named Vernie Watson.
I kind of remember her name. But, I haven't.
Do you know who she is?
As I said, I kind of think I do, but I don't know if it's that person, if that name goes with that face.
Well, can you please describe the Vernie Watson that you know?
She has like dreadlocks and she's African American. And she played Will Smith's mother on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And, yeah.
And how do you know her?
I don't remember. She's been our friend for a long time.
Is she still your friend?
We haven't called her in a while. But I think I met her through a dance company, a dance class, a dance studio I was with.
Do you recall ever asking her for money?
No.
Do you recall your mother ever asking Vernie Watson for money?
No.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you said yesterday that you did not call Chris Tucker on February 4, 2003. Is that right?
I said that I don't really remember if I said that or not, but I don't know if I called Chris Tucker on February 4, 2003.
Do you remember calling Chris Tucker before you went to Miami and telling him you're being harassed by the media?
Your Honor, object is asked and answered.
Sustained.
Did your mother ask you to call Chris Tucker?
No, I don't think so.
How did you know Michael Jackson was in Miami?
Because he called us and told us that he was in Miami.
Did you call Chris Tucker on a regular basis at that particular time?
Yeah, I was still talking to him.
Okay. Did you typically call him from home?
Sometimes.
Where else would you call him from?
I don't know. At my grandma's house.
Now, Chris told you that he was going to Orlando, right?
I don't know.
Do you remember him saying that?
No.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did Evie Tavashi book a commercial flight for your family to fly to Miami to see Michael Jackson?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know who was in charge of deciding how you would get to Miami?
I don't know who was in charge of that.
Okay. Do you know how you ended up on Chris Tucker's plane rather than a commercial flight?
Chris wanted to see Michael. And then we could have just went on a ride with him because he was going over there.
Okay. Do you recall your brother, your sister and your mother going to a dental office around February 24, 2003?
I remember we might have went to a dental office. I used to have braces.
And you went to that office to have your braces removed, right?
I believe so.
Pardon me.
I believe so.
Okay, well, do you remember going there from Neverland?
Yes.
And it was a Dr. Seaman you went to, right?
I don't know.
He was not too far from Neverland, right?
I think they were in Solvang.
And you had your braces removed, right?
Yes. Because my teeth started separating because the wires were all broken.
And who took you to that dental office?
I think it was Frank.
Do you know the approximate date?
No.
And you left Neverland and went into town that day about 2:34 in the afternoon, right?
I don't know.
Okay, and do you remember how long you were away that day, from Neverland?
I don't know.
It was about 5.5 hours, wasn't it?
As I said, I don't know.
Okay, do you remember stopping in Solvang?
I thought that's what the orthodontist was, in Solvang.
Do you remember, when you left the office, going anywhere else?
No.
Do you remember anybody complaining at the office that anyone in your family was being held against their will?
I don't remember.
Did you have dinner or any meal in Solvang?
I don't remember having a dinner or a meal.
Do you remember going shopping in Solvang that day?
No.
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 Now, your mother was mad at your LA dentist that put the braces on originally, right?
I don't know if she was mad at him.
You never noticed that at all.
No.
Okay, do you know who paid for your dental work in Solvang on that day?
I don't know who paid for it.
And your mother was there, right?
I think so.
Devellin was there, right?
I think so.
And Starr was there, right?
I think so.
Okay.
They hardly ever let us be apart. They wanted to keep us together.
Excuse me.
They never wanted us to be in separate areas. They always wanted to keep us together.
Well, remember you went to Toys R Us with Michael?
Yeah, I remember.
Your mother wasn't there.
My mom was at Neverland, where they can still keep her.
Oh, was your mother on the trip to Toys R Us?
No, she was in Neverland in her unit, where they could still keep her and watch her.
I see. So you went into town with Michael Jackson, correct?
Yeah, Michael took us to Toys R Us.
You picked up some fans, correct, on the way?
Yeah, Michael invited some people into the thing.
You never complained to anyone in the store or any of these fans that anyone was being held against their will, correct?
I was actually happy to be at Neverland all the time.
And you were happy to go.
That's something you don't really understand, is that the majority of those times was the first few escapes that you talk about. I liked being at Neverland. That was like Disneyland. I loved being there. I had lots of fun. I mean, my mom was the one always worried. It wasn't until the last time that I realized, I don't want to be here.
Your mother was worried, but she always came back, right? Right.
I guess so.
Okay, I'm going to show you some photographs that have been pre-marked. They've been shown to the prosecutor, Your Honor.
All right.
May I approach?
They're not in evidence yet.
Not yet.
Can you just give me the numbers? It's for my notes. No. Just, what's the run?
It's Exhibit 5020 through Exhibit 5029.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Arvizo, I'm going to show you some photographs, and ask you if they appear accurate to you. The first one says, Gene Cement, DDS. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you remember going to that office?
That might be a little. It's like a little. I don't know exactly how it is, but.
It's like a sign.
Yeah, a sign. There we go.
Okay, and that looks accurate to you, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that is Exhibit 5020. Now I'm showing you Exhibit 5021. Does that look familiar to you?
A little bit. Yeah, that looks like the place that they took us to.
That's the dentist's office, right?
Yes.
Appears accurate to you?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm showing you Exhibit 5022. Do you see that?
Yes, I see it.
And that's downtown Solvang, right?
I don't know.
That's near the dental office, isn't it?
I don't know if that was the same place.
Does it look accurate to you?
I don't know where that is.
Okay, Now I'm showing you Exhibit 5023. Do you see that?
Yes.
And does that look like the inside of the dentist's office?
I think so.
Okay. Looks accurate to you.
I think it was the dentist's office.
Okay. And now I'm showing you Defense Exhibit 5024. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that's the inside of the dentist's office, right?
I think so.
Looks accurate to you.
Yes.
And now I'm showing you Defense Exhibit 5025. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that's the inside of the dentist's office, right?
I don't know if that's the same place they did my stuff, but, I mean, it looks.
Looks accurate to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm showing you now Exhibit 5026. Do you see that?
Yes.
Inside of the dentist's office, right?
Yes.
Look accurate to you.
Yes.
Now I'm showing you Exhibit 5027. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that's also the inside of the dentist's office, right?
I think so, yes.
Look accurate to you.
Yes.
I'm now showing you Exhibit 5028. Do you see that?
Yes.
That's the outside of the dentist's office, right?
I don't know. I never went out there.
Does it look accurate to you?
I don't know. I never went out there.
Okay. And now I'm showing you Exhibit 5029. Do you see that?
Yes.
That's the outside of the dentist's office, right?
I don't know.
Does it look accurate to you?
I don't know. I never went out there.
Okay. Unless there's an objection, I'll move these photographs into evidence.
Well, excuse me, Your Honor. There is an objection to the ones he said he didn't know anything about, so that would be.
I've got it. 5023 is not admitted. 5025 and 502. Number 5028 and 5029 are not admitted. The others are all admitted.
You don't know how long you were at that dental office, correct?
No.
Did you ever see any telephones?
Is your microphone on?
Oh, pardon me. Let me start again. You don't know how long you were at that dental office, right?
No.
Did you ever see any phones in that dental office?
No, well, there's probably one in the front. But I didn't see one in that picture, though.
Did anyone in your family ever complain while you were at that dental office? We're being held against our will, to your knowledge.
No.
Your Honor, I have in front of me a Neverland Valley guest book I'd like to be marked next in order.
That would be 5030.
Yes, please. There is a 5030.
We already have a 5030, so that would be 5031.
Excuse me, 5031.
Yes.
Mr. Arvizo, excuse me, Your Honor. Oh.
Excuse me, Your Honor, we've never seen this. It wasn't provided to us.
We produced it to them, Your Honor.
I haven't seen the book. And I'd like to look at it before he asks any questions.
We'll organize this. You let her. There you go. You got the label on it. Would you show it to the district attorney?
Yes, Your Honor. Off-the-record discussion held at counsel table. Your Honor, I have in front of me Defense Exhibit 5034, sick.
They can't hear you.
Oh, here we go again. I have in front of me Defense Exhibit 5031, which is a Neverland Valley guest book. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Mr. Arvizo, I'm showing you a Neverland Valley guest book that's listed as Exhibit 5031. Have you seen that before?
Yes.
Where have you seen this before?
In the front of where you walk in the front entrance, there's like this podium type thing, and it sat on there. .6.
Now, there's some writing on the cover of that book. Do you see that?
Yes.
Is that your writing?
No.
You didn't write that.
No, that's my brother's, I think.
Well, it says, Gavin, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You didn't write that.
It says, blow hole in Gavin.
Okay, do you know who wrote that?
Blow holes, my brother.
You didn't write that at all.
No.
Okay, do you know why your brother wrote on the cover of the guest book?
Because it looked cool. Because it's on the part where you can see it. I don't know. You should ask my brother.
Did you see him do that?
No.
Did you ever talk to him about it?
No.
Now, you had looked through this guest book before, correct?
I didn't really look through it, but I signed it once.
Okay, so your signature would be in there.
I don't know if my signature would be in there. But I remember.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if my signature was in there, but I remember saying, like, thanks for letting us come to Neverland, and it was the first time I'd ever been to Neverland.
Okay, but this is the book you saw at Neverland, right?
Yes.
Okay, move to admit Defense Exhibit 5031.
Your Honor, I have no objection to either option. They can put in a photocopy of the front, which is what he was questioned about, but as to the entire contents, I object.
All right. The objection is sustained as to the contents.
Okay, with your permission, Your Honor, we can just get a duplicate of the cover.
That would be fine.
Okay.
You can leave. Is there an agreement that once he gets the duplicate of the cover, that he can exchange the duplicate for the original and remove the original? Or do you want to wait until the end of the trial for that?
No, that would be fine, Your Honor. I'm just at a little bit. Duplicate, meaning.
The duplicate of the cover is what he was saying.
Yeah.
Will it have the same writing on it?
Duplicate usually means the same. I mean, it's a duplicate.
All right, I'll wait till the duplicate comes in, and we can talk about it then. How's that?
Okay. All right. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Arvizo, according to you, it's your brother's handwriting, right?
It kind of looks like it. But I don't know if it is.
And it says, "Hi, Dodo, it's your blowhole. I love with you all my heart. Love forever, your blowhole, Gavin." Do you see that?
It says, blowhole and Gavin. It doesn't say, blowhole.
It looks like an F.
Counsel, you're testifying.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Okay. You didn't see your brother do this, right?
No.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I have in front of me an exhibit, number 5032, which is a photocopy of a mannequin. I'd like to approach the witness, if I may. Mr. Arvizo, I'm showing you a document that's labeled Exhibit 5032. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that appears to be a photograph of a mannequin, correct?
Yes.
Appears to be an African American girl with braids, right?
Yes.
With a blue jean jacket, right?
Yes.
And a pink shirt. Do you see that?
Yes.
Have you seen that mannequin before?
Yes, I saw it in Michael's bedroom.
Is that the mannequin that you're claiming Mr. Jackson simulated a sex act with?
Yes.
Okay, now, did you ever discuss with Mr. Jackson where that mannequin came from?
No, he said that there was a bunch of mannequins all over his bedroom.
Well, did he ever tell you this was something that was custom made and it's a mannequin of a cousin of his?
No, he just said that he has lots of mannequins.
So you never discussed with him what this mannequin was all about, right?
No.
You never knew that this mannequin was something that was paid for and custom made because it's his cousin.
He never told me that.
Okay. When did you first see this mannequin?
In his bedroom, where the bed actually is.
And do you know approximately when that was?
I don't, probably the first time I went in his room I saw it there. And then the second time I was in his room. All the way after Miami was when we made the joke about it.
At some point you learned that somebody had defaced that mannequin, right?
Defaced? What do you mean?
Yes. Somebody had taken like a magic marker and messed up that mannequin, right?
No, I don't remember that.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to approach the witness and show him exhibit number 5033, which is a photograph.
All right.
Of a mannequin as well. Mr. Arvizo, I'm showing you defense exhibit number 5033. Do you see that?
Yes.
And do you see where somebody went into the vaginal portion of that mannequin and defaced it with a magic marker?
Yes, I see that, I guess.
You know who did that, don't you?
No.
May I publish this, Your Honor?
No.
You don't know who did that at all.
No.
You didn't do it.
No.
Your brother didn't do it.
No.
May I approach one more time?
Yes.
Do you see the skirt on the mannequin in Defense Exhibit 5032?
Yes.
Same material as you see on the mannequin in Defense Exhibit 5033, right?
I guess so, yeah.
But you've never seen this defaced portion.
No.
Right.
No.
Do you know why your brother defaced the guestbook?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Counsel's testifying, and he's already said he didn't do it.
I didn't ask if he did it.
Sustained. Calls for speculation.
Okay. Move to admit Defense Exhibits 5032 and 5033, Your Honor.
They haven't been properly identified. So it's denied.
Exhibit 5032 is the photograph of the mannequin that I showed Mr. Sneddon.
That one is admitted.
And 5033 is also a photograph of the same mannequin.
But it hasn't been identified as to the marking you're talking about. He has never seen it that way, so we don't know who did it, when it was done. There's no foundation.
We'll do it. We'll do it later, then.
All right, no foundation.
Okay, all right. Finally, Mr. Arvizo, in your direct examination, you commented a couple of times on Mr. Jackson wearing makeup. Do you remember that?
Here.
When you were answering Prosecutor Sneddon's questions, a couple of times you used the word makeup in referring to Michael Jackson, right?
I said one time when he was, a story about a time when we were in the room where his makeup was, but I don't remember me saying it a lot of times.
Now, you knew that Michael Jackson has a skin disease called vitiligo, right?
He told me about it.
And he told you that he's an African American man with a skin disease that eats up pigment in his skin, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that that disease was causing certain patches of white and brown on his skin, right?
Yes, I guess.
And?
I don't know. It's not like I was making fun of him yesterday, if that's what you're trying to imply.
Well, you knew that his skin is vulnerable to sunlight, correct?
Yes.
And that's why you see him with an umbrella, correct?
Yes.
And you also knew, because of the patches that appear on his skin from that disease, he does sometimes put some makeup on, right?
I didn't know about patches. I thought he was just all white.
Well, you discussed the skin disease with him, right?
Yes.
You knew the skin disease was changing the color of his skin, right?
That's what he told me.
And you knew that's why he put makeup on, true?
Not really. I thought it was just because he had, because he didn't have pink on his lips, so he would put makeup on his lips. I mean, I wasn't making fun of him yesterday, if that's what you were trying to say.
You weren't making fun of him at all.
No.
Okay, now, you're aware, are you not, that you have until the age of 18 to file a lawsuit against Mr. Jackson if you choose to, correct?
No.
You've never discussed that with your mother?
No.
Never discussed that with Larry Feldman, the attorney?
No.
And never discussed it with Bill Dickerman, the attorney?
No.
Okay, you're also aware that if Mr. Jackson is convicted, you could automatically win that civil suit, right?
No.
No one's ever discussed that with you?
No. We said things like, oh, we don't want his money, and stuff like that.
Never discussed that issue with any attorney, right?
No.
First time you've heard about it.
About that I can. You just told me now that I can sue him till I'm 18 or something like that. I didn't even know about that stuff.
Didn't even know about that, right? And never heard your mother mention it.
No.
No further questions.
Redirect.
Yes. Morning, Gavin.
Hey, Tom.
I'm going to ask you just a few questions. It won't be long. First of all, with regard to this particular case, Mr. Mesereau has asked you a lot of questions about did you have conversations with your brother and your mother and other people about what you've testified here in court today.
Uh-huh.
Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
And you said you did not.
Yes.
Were you given some instructions with regard to who you could talk to and who you couldn't talk to about this case?
You guys told us that we can't talk to anybody about this case. Well, our family and anyone that was, involved. You know what I mean.
When were you told that?
When the case first started.
So from the time you were first involved in the case till today, those were the instructions you were given?
Yes.
And have you followed those instructions faithfully?
Yes.
Mr. Mesereau asked you yesterday about the fact that when you went through chemotherapy you had some temporary memory loss and inability to concentrate at some points in time.
Yes.
At the time that these events occurred at Neverland Ranch involving you and the defendant, Michael Jackson, were any of those effects from the chemotherapy still present with you?
No, they went away after a while.
Do you remember Mr. Mesereau asking you about a video that was taken during one of your first trips to Neverland, with you and Mr. Jackson, when we saw the music, I'll Be There? Do you remember that one?
The one where he carried me and stuff.
Yeah. Do you remember that video?
Yes.
When was the first time you saw that video?
It was probably, I think they brought it to Chris at his house, and that was the first time I saw it.
Who brought it to Chris?
I think it was, or, I don't remember the first time. It could have been either at the hotel in Miami or at Chris's house before we left. But I'm not sure.
So up until the time that photograph was taken back in 2000 when you were just starting your chemotherapy, correct?
Yes.
So from the time in 2000 when the video was produced until the time that you went to Miami, or shortly before Miami, with Chris Tucker, you had never been given a copy of that by Mr. Jackson?
No.
Did Mr. Jackson ever visit you in the hospital when you were sick?
Never.
Now, you told us that you had some telephone numbers for Mr. Jackson that had been given to you by Mr. Jackson or somebody else.
Yes.
Who gave you the phone numbers?
It was usually Michael, but, Frank gave me his phone and he said that he was usually with Michael, so that I can call his phone and then he can give me Michael.
Were there times when you called Frank's phone and got a hold of Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Now, did you have conversations with the defendant, Mr. Jackson, about his relationship with the person that you call Frank Tyson?
Yeah, Frank told me, he's like his.
Objection. Hearsay.
Sustained.
You say you had a conversation.
Yeah, I had a conversation, yes.
All right. Now, first of all, I want to ask you, did Mr. Jackson make statements about his relationship with Frank?
Yes.
Your Honor, offered under 1223.
Same objection.
All admit it. These are statements by Mr. Jackson.
They are, Your Honor. About his relationship with a co-conspirator.
All right. These are admitted conditionally, as the other statements were.
Now, what did the defendant, Mr. Jackson, say about his relationship with Frank Tyson?
He told us that Frank was like his second cousin or something. And then that Michael would change his diapers when he was a baby, and stuff like that.
So he had known him for a long, long time.
Yes.
Now, when you testified, you were asked by Mr. Mesereau some questions concerning the Martin Bashir documentary. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Now, what I want to ask you is, before you went to Miami and saw Mr. Jackson in Miami, okay.
Uh-huh.
What was it? What portions of that video had you seen at any place?
I haven't seen it, I didn't see it at all. I just saw news media talking about it, talking about a movie or something. I didn't really know what it was until I got to Miami.
So before you went to Miami you had heard media talking about it. Did you actually see any footage on TV?
No.
You just heard the voices?
Yes.
When you got to Miami, did you see the Bashir video?
No, Michael didn't want us to see it in his hotel, so.
Did you see any parts of it?
No.
Now, you told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that when you went to Miami that you were upset with somebody over the Bashir documentary. Do you recall that? Actually, let me rephrase that. Mr. Mesereau asked you if your mother was upset with somebody when you went to Miami. Do you recall that?
Not really.
Were you upset with anybody, or angry?
I was kind of angry at Martin Bashir.
At who?
Martin Bashir.
Do you know what your mother's attitude was towards that, if you know?
I don't remember.
Now, you told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury a few moments ago that when Mr. Mesereau asked you how you knew Mr. Jackson was in Miami, do you recall that question?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
I want to take you to that point in time with regard to when you learned that Mr. Jackson was in Miami.
Okay.
Before you went to Miami.
Okay.
Okay. Who was it that told you that Mr. Jackson was in Miami?
Michael. Evie said that Michael's going to call me in a few minutes. Well, I told my mother. And then Michael called on the phone, and I picked up, and he told me that he was in Miami and he wanted me to go over there.
Was that the first time that you learned that Mr. Jackson was in Miami?
Yes.
And that's when he invited you to be a part of a press conference?
Yes.
Just a couple of questions about things that happened at the ranch. You were questioned by Mr. Mesereau about the nanny named Grace. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And specifically about the area upstairs, where it had a chalkboard and some tables and things.
Yes.
During the time that you were at the ranch, did you ever see anybody other than Grace come in as a teacher to the children?
I think they switched. I think Grace went away for a while. And then some other lady came.
Do you know who that lady was?
No.
Okay. Now, you've identified in one of the photographs a person by the name of Aldo. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Was Aldo at the ranch during times that you were there with Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Do you recall when it was that you were there? When? Tuesday morning. Do you recall in relationship to when you and Mr. Jackson were there? What part of the visit was it that Aldo was there?
In the beginning.
Now, there was a considerable amount of discussion about the codes that were needed to get into certain areas of the ranch.
Uh-huh.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
Now, with regard to let's just run through this real quickly. With regard to the theater, did you need a code to get in there?
No.
With regard to the arcade, did you need a code to get in there?
No.
With regard to the main house, did you need a code to get in there?
Yes.
In the front door?
No, in the back door. Oh, it was in the front door, I never really saw one. But, we always went through the back door.
So there was a code that was necessary to know to get into the back door of the house?
Yes.
And then there was a code to get into Mr. Jackson's bedroom, we've heard a great deal about.
Yes.
Were there any other areas on the ranch that you know of that you needed a code to get into those areas?
No, there was no other place.
How about Mr. Jackson's office?
I don't really remember if there was a code needed to get in there. I don't think there was.
When you went to Miami with Chris Tucker on his charter plane to meet Mr. Jackson, did you want to meet Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Gavin, when you testified in front of the grand jury, did you tell the truth?
Yes.
And when you testified in front of the grand jury, were the things that you told the grand jury fresh in your mind at that time?
They were probably fresher.
Objection. Leading.
Your Honor, I'm laying the foundation for an evidence code section exception.
All right. The objection is overruled. The answer was already in. Next question.
Yesterday Mr. Mesereau showed you a number of cards, greeting cards, that were sent to Mr. Jackson by you and other members of your family.
Yes.
Were any of those cards in handwritings other than yours?
Yes. Some were mine.
Yesterday you made a statement to the jury in response to one of Mr. Mesereau's statements. You made a statement something to the effect, "God gave me cancer to guide me in a certain way." Do you recall that?
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
Well, when I had cancer, I got really close to God. And they had missions all over the West Coast down to Mexico praying for me. They had, I don't know, something happened where they had a picture and they put on a wall. And then my friend went to Israel and put a picture on this wall where they put, all these people that have, diseases and stuff like that. And then, I don't know. Because of my cancer, my parents started fighting more, I guess. And, it sounds kind of sad that they got divorced, but, it was kind of a window, I believe, to find my stepdad in, because it's a lot better than it was before having my stepdad in my life.
Now, you're currently in school, correct?
Yes.
Just, are you in school?
Yes.
You're in a high school.
Yes.
What grade are you?
I'm in 9th grade.
And yesterday you were asked. I think you made the statement rather candidly. You were asked by Mr. Mesereau, were you a discipline problem? And you said yes, when you were at John Burroughs.
Yes.
Okay. Currently in the high school that you're in, do you get good grades?
Yes.
Did you make the honor roll?
Yes.
Do you get in fights anymore?
No.
Objection. Relevance.
Overruled. The answer was no. Next question.
Have you had any discipline problems?
No.
Are you involved in after-school activities?
Objection. Relevance.
Sustained.
During the time that you were, let's go back just a second. In the year, I believe you testified 2001, at some point your father left, is that correct?
Right after I was done with cancer, I didn't see him anymore.
What was the impact on you when your dad left?
I cried every night.
Why?
Because, I didn't have a dad anymore. I was kind of happy that he left because he hit my mom a lot, but I just felt like I didn't have anybody. Any father, you know what I mean.
Yeah. And you don't feel that way anymore?
No.
Because of?
Objection. Relevance.
My stepdad.
Overruled.
Because of my stepdad.
So it was the relationship with your stepdad that changed that feeling?
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the things Mr. Mesereau talked about yesterday. Mr. Gerald. He talked about an incident where you had a run-in with Mr. Gerald that ended up you going to see Mr. Alpert. Do you recall that?
I don't know if I saw Mr. Alpert, but I remember seeing someone that was in the office.
Did you ever receive any discipline as a result of that incident with Mr. Gerald?
No, I don't think, no, they never even did anything.
Now, when you went back to school after you left Neverland Ranch, okay.
Yes.
March and April, you were at John Burroughs, correct?
Yes.
What was it like when you went back to school?
All the kids would laugh at me and try to push me around and stuff, and say, that's the kid that got raped by Michael Jackson, and stuff like that.
What was your reaction to that?
I would sometimes not say anything and just walk away. And if they got close enough, sometimes I would fight them. After they hit me first, because I didn't like to throw the first punch, because I believe that,
Objection. Non-responsive.
All sustain the objection. In the middle, after they hit me first, is where it stops.
Thank you, Your Honor. So there were fights that you got into after you left Neverland Valley Ranch because of the things that the kids were saying to you?
Yes.
And when you get in a fight, what happens? Where do you have to go?
They took us to Dean Alpert.
Now, you were asked yesterday whether you had a conversation with Dean Alpert where he asked you whether or not Mr. Jackson had touched you. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you recall that you probably told him it didn't happen, correct?
I told him that it didn't happen.
Okay. You told him it didn't happen.
Yes.
Okay. Why did you tell him that?
Because all the kids were already making fun of me in school, and I didn't want anybody to think that it really happened.
Gavin, have you ever been a member of a gang?
No.
Did anybody ever ask you to join a gang?
Yes.
What happened?
They jumped me because I said no. So I got in a fight with a bunch of guys.
Because you wouldn't join a gang?
Yes.
Almost done. Just a couple more easy questions and, Mr. Mesereau asked you yesterday about going to Anchor Blue. Do you recall that?
Yes.
How many times do you recall going to shop at Anchor Blue?
Once.
Now, the suitcases that they bought you. I just want to talk about you individually, okay?
Okay.
Was it more than one?
It was, they had this package thing where you would buy one, and they would have this big one, and in the inside it would be one smaller, and another one that was even smaller that was a carry-on bag.
So you had a series of suitcases?
Yeah, and, yes.
And when you left Neverland, did you take all those suitcases with you, you personally?
I think I just took no, I didn't take them. After we left and we stopped, we didn't want to go back.
Okay.
Frank and Vinny showed up on our door and they were knocking on the door. And then we waited until they left, and we looked outside and our suitcases were there.
Did you open your suitcase and go through it?
Yes.
Was there anything missing?
Yeah.
What?
Some of my underwear, some of my shirts, a couple pants, and stuff like that. And they put in some other guy's pants.
Did you ever have a conversation with the defendant in this case, Mr. Jackson, about your underpants?
Yes.
Tell the jury about it.
Objection. Beyond the scope.
Overruled.
There was one time that I slept in his room, and he was probably joking, but I kind of took it serious. I had pajamas on and I was using his pajamas. And I told him I was going in to take a shower in my unit. And then he was like, "Leave your stinking underwear in the hamper," or something like that. And then because I had to change out of my clothes to go to my unit. And then I don't know if he was joking or not, but I actually did.
Did what?
Put my underwear in the hamper.
Did you ever get those back?
No.
With regard to the items that were dropped at your door by Frank and Vinny, that was after you left Neverland for good.
Yes.
Okay. Gavin, I just have one last question to ask you. Yesterday, in response to Mr. Mesereau's questions, you told him that Mr. Jackson was like a father figure to you. Is that correct?
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that you thought he was one of the coolest guys in the world, correct?
Yes.
And that you admired him.
Well, I only admire God, but he was a pretty cool guy.
How do you feel about Mr. Jackson now in light of what he did to you?
Objection. 352. Relevance. Leading.
Overruled.
I don't really like him anymore. I don't think he's really that deserving of the respect that I was giving him and is the coolest guy in the world.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Recross.
Yes, please, Your Honor. Mr. Arvizo, did you discuss your testimony of yesterday with anyone last evening?
No.
Did you discuss any of it with Mr. Sneddon?
No.
Was the last meeting you had with Mr. Sneddon Sunday night?
Yes.
Did you discuss your testimony with any attorney or employee of an attorney last night?
No.
Okay. Did anyone talk to you about what Mr. Sneddon was going to ask you today?
No.
Okay. Now, did you have a meeting at a law office last Saturday?
No.
Anyone in your family go to a law office last Saturday, to your knowledge?
No.
Never heard about it?
No.
Okay. When is the last time you talked to any lawyer associated with Larry Feldman's office?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as beyond the scope of the redirect.
Sustained.
Mr. Arvizo, when you were having disciplinary problems at school, they went far beyond just fighting with students, didn't they?
No, it was everything that I told you. That's what happened.
You were repeatedly accused of disrespecting teachers, right?
That's what I told you yesterday.
Okay, and you didn't even show up for detention much of the time when you were ordered to, right?
No, I showed up at every detention.
Well, do you recall never showing up for a detention that Teacher Parker ordered you to attend?
No.
Don't recall that?
No.
Okay, you were accused of getting up in the middle of class and disrupting everything, right?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as asked and answered. We went through this yesterday.
Sustained.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have anything further, Mr. Sneddon?
No, Your Honor.
You may step down. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, may the witness be subject to recall?
Yes. He's not excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We'll call Officer Terry Flaa to the stand.
Remain standing. Face the clerk and raise your right hand.
I do.
Please be seated. State and spell your name for the record.
Yes. My name is Terry Flaa. Last name spelling, Flaa.
Thank you.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
What is your current occupation?
I'm a police officer employed by the Santa Maria Police Department.
And you've been employed by Santa Maria Police Department for how long?
About 14 months.
What is your current position with Santa Maria Police Department?
I'm a patrolman.
Prior to your employment with Santa Maria Police Department, where were you employed?
I was with the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department.
And for what period of time?
A little over, around 8.5 years.
And you moved from the Sheriff's Office in Santa Barbara County to Santa Maria Police Department?
Yes, I did.
And why did you do that?
I'm from the Santa Maria area. It was an agency I always wanted to work for, and the opportunity was there, so I took that opportunity.
And you are able to work closer to your home at this time?
Yes.
All right. What was the position that you held at the time that you left the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office?
I was an investigator assigned to the Vice and Intelligence Unit.
Were you called upon to conduct an investigation of a referral that had come into the office?
Yes, I was.
And do you know which one I'm referring to?
Yes, I do.
All right. You have some sense of what case this is that correct?
I do.
When was that referral? When did that referral come into the office?
It was assigned to me on February 20th.
What was the nature of the referral?
The nature of the referral?
Excuse me, February 20th of what year, please?
I'm sorry, 2003.
All right. What was the nature of the referral?
I had received 2 referrals. The first referral was from LA Department of Child and Family Services that stressed. A caller had stressed concern over the welfare of Mr. Jackson's children. The second referral was in response to the February 6th, I believe it was, airing of the documentary regarding Mr. Jackson. And that referral revealed the identities of the children depicted, specifically of Gavin Arvizo.
And what did you do in terms of conducting an investigation on that referral?
Well, the first thing that we did is I conferred with my immediate supervisor, Sergeant Legault, and we were going to begin the process of interviewing the children. However, a few days later, on the 24th, I was advised that LACWS, or DCFS, pardon me, had already interviewed the Arvizo family.
Do you know when that interview took place?
That interview took place on February 20th of 2003.
Did you have a conversation with anybody from the Department of Child and Family Services in Los Angeles?
Yes, I did.
With whom did you have a conversation?
Her name was, Brenda Blackburn, who was a supervisor.
Did she submit to you or forward to you any documentation of that interview?
No, she did not.
Is there a report that they prepared with regards to that interview?
I was told that there was, yes.
What did she tell you with regards to your being able to get possession of that report at that time?
At that time she told me that, due to confidentiality reasons, that the DCFS would not be able to forward that document to the Sheriff's Department.
Did she relate to you the content of the document itself?
Yes, she did, however, explain that she would be able to read the report to me, and which she did.
And did you tape record that conversation?
Yes, I did.
All right. Did she read to you, presumably, the report in its entirety?
According to what she told me, yes.
What was the date that she read to you that report?
March 13, 2003.
Now, did Miss Blackburn indicate to you that she was the one who actually interviewed the children?
No, she did not actually interview the children.
So she was reading a report of interviews conducted by other workers?
Yes.
Did she indicate the identity of those workers?
Yes. If I may I refer to my narrative to confirm that date of March 13?
Yes. Please go ahead.
Refresh my memory.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
After he does that, we will take our break.
I apologize. It was actually March 10, 2003, that I spoke to Brenda Blackburn.
All right, let's take our break.